Hello! This is my Vanlife Lessons Year 3, and I do this every year on June 28th. And I talk about the things that have changed in my life, the lessons that I have learned. And this year, the theme is how is everything holding up? First of all, the insulation, which is one of the first things that we put in, is great. It's doing well. There's no problems with it. Second of all, the paneling, I screwed it down finally, which was something that really needed to happen because before I just had it glued together and that did not go well. So if you're thinking about doing this, I would highly recommend screwing down your paneling. The third thing, electrical. The battery is holding up nicely on hot sunny days in the middle of the summer. I never notice anything, but in the wintertime, if it's shady, if I need to charge my computer a lot, my battery has been dying. I think 3 years is a good mark. I'm gonna actually need to change that battery really soon. This is my battery charger. As you can see right now, it's showing that it's at 100%. Here is my battery box and inverter. If you've watched the other two Vanlife lesson videos, you've already seen this. The one thing that is different from this year from all the other years is that I removed the dimmer switch. The dimmer switch was $4. It was right here. I got it on Amazon and it really did not work. It did not do what it was supposed to do, and it eventually just started to flicker really, really badly. I ultimately just took it out, and now these lights just turn off and turn on. I have two outlets right here, one here and one there. They work. They're totally fine. So one of the first things that I put in when I did the van was the floors. The only piece that has, after 3 years of use, kind of busted is this one right here. So this piece right here has actually started to come undone, but the rest of it is looking pretty good. There are a few spots here that have worn away, but generally the floors are holding up. I have seen a lot of build outs since I originally built out my van. You know, the drawers are really helpful, but I think one of the things I came to after a couple of years of being in the van was that drawers are not necessarily the best solution. And the best solution in a van is always the simplest solution because it's going to rattle, it's going to come apart, things are going to vibrate, and the simplest solution is always the easiest one to fix, and it's always least likely to break. One of the things I've had to do in the last year is actually replace the drawer sliders on these bottom shelves. If I was going to do this again, I don't know that I would do drawers. Drawers are great and they're aesthetic and they're super cute, but also I think the same thing can be achieved with shelves and baskets. And then all you've got to do is build shelves with a little lip on them, and then a basket will just go in and out. And if your basket breaks, you get a new basket. If the lip breaks, you put a new lip on. How is the fridge holding up? So this is my truck fridge, TF 130. You can get a link to this on my website. One of the problems I have with the TF 130, the truck fridges in general, is that their freezers ice over a lot, and the way that they built these little refrigerator or freezer doors is that they have plastic nubbins on either side and they break really easily. So I have gone through 3 so far. This is my 3rd one and it broke off, and Mike actually drilled a hole in the corner to fix the problem of it breaking off. Ran some wire through. It's not very pretty, but it does allow it to open and close, whereas, before it would just snap off. It snapped off every 6 months. So that was kind of annoying. Generally, it's a good piece of hardware. It's been 3 years. I use this thing all the time. It's been on the entire time. I've had no problems other than those minor cosmetic things. It does its job, which is great. I've had the same Coleman Stove for 3 years, and honestly, these things are kind of bomb-proof. I still have a hose that runs from a propane canister underneath my bed, and this connects to this little port over here. So no complaints about the Coleman Stove. If you have one, I highly recommend continuing to use it. Sink. So sink has gone through a lot of iterations in the past, but I finally, after 2.5 years, I got a foot pump. It was $13 off of the Walmart website. So it was really cheap. And as you can see, there's water coming out of here, which is great. Let's go inside the sink area. This is my gray water tank. This is my clean water tank, and they're basically unchanged. I haven't noticed any algae growing in any of them. Gray water does smell pretty bad, and I use this stuff. the RV toilet treatment to break up the worst of it. The back has changed, not at all. So yeah, not much has changed. I keep my ropes and climbing gear in here. I don't know if you can see it because it's kind of dark. And this is mostly like things I don't use every day. My propane is back there. There's my battery, if you can see that. And then just got these little shoe rack things for shoes. That's this. And then yeah, that's about it. One of the new additions to the van was a Wii Boost. This guy here boosts my cell signal when I'm on the road, which is, you know, pretty nice. And I do find that it works. I'm very happy with it. You can get a link to that on my website as well. Buy one there, help support this channel. We really appreciate it. The only other thing that happened this year that really kind of the build out itself kind of broke down was that there was a leak in the fan. We layered a lot of butyl tape around the top, placed the fan in, and then used a marine adhesive sealant to caulk around the edges. What I've noticed is that the marine adhesive sealant began to wear down. The last couple weeks, I kind of wiped off as much of the marine adhesive sealant as I could and used sikaflex instead. And so far, I've been through a couple rainstorms. It hasn't leaked again. I wanted to talk a little bit about how am I holding up after 3 years living in the van, because I think if you're thinking about doing this, if you're thinking about doing the van life stuff, you know, it's good to know where you could be in 3 years. So the big news that I have to share is that I am no longer living full-time in the van. About a month ago, my boyfriend and I signed a lease in Reno, Nevada. You know, it was kind of the decision that I didn't want to make, but I needed to make. There's something that I think was happening with living in the van for 3 years where I could always just leave a situation and I wasn't ever building community long term. And I'd never been anywhere longer than 6 weeks for the last 3 years. Which sounds really cool, and it is. You know, I got to see some amazing things, and there's no part of me that is discounting that journey. But I began to remove myself from situations because I knew I was just gonna leave. I didn't want to make friends with new people because I knew I wasn't going to see them again. I didn't want to invest in a community or invest in a place because I knew I was just going to leave. And so I kind of needed community and I needed a place to fully rest and relax. And so, you know, I've had a place for about 1 month. I actually haven't been in it for that entire month. I've been on the road. So, you know, if you're worried about this channel disappearing and just becoming about me doing my makeup at a house, that's not what it's going to be. It's not what it's going to become. Another thing about moving into a house was that I wanted a place to work because I love the work that I do. I am a writer and I get to make these videos. Doing all that and living on the road and traveling full-time and climbing full-time is really hard. And I'm not saying that it's impossible because I do know a lot of people on the road who have been doing it for longer than I have, who've, you know, written books and done all this stuff, and that's really amazing for them. But I know that for me, I wanted to train for climbing. I want to write a book someday. I want to make better quality videos for my YouTube channel. I want to interview more interesting people. And in order to do that, I need to have a reliable internet connection that I don't have to be worried that I'm gonna get kicked out of every couple of hours. Over the last year, the lessons I have learned is that I can do anything that I want to. Life is long. Money is just fun coupons. Yeah, those are the lessons I've learned. That's how everything's holding up. I'm holding up well. Generally, things are going well. So if you're thinking about doing a build out, you're trying to see down the line what it's like. Hopefully this has given you some insight. If you have any questions or any comments, please let me know down below. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at One Chick Travels. You can find me on Twitter at Kaya Says. If you'd like to support more of these videos or, you know, blog posts or interviews with women I meet on the road, you can support me on Patreon at patreon.com/onechicktravels. And if nothing else, I will see you guys next time.